Hello everybody, the Nameless Narcissist here once again. Simple man diagnosed with NPD, giving you the facts on narcissistic personality disorder and the stuff that goes on in my head. Keep in mind, I am no clinician, so I can only speak to my own experiences and the research that I read. So, oh yeah, also if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, whatever. Anyways, so obviously, if anybody looks at my comments, a lot of people ask me how to deal with narcissists stalking people. And I want to point out, before I even get into this video, stalking is a relatively speaking rare behavior. And the amount of narcissists who are going to be doing it is even rarer because, narcissism is rare, even if they are disproportionate in this behavior. So not all narcissists are going to be stalking, obviously, and the vast majority of them won't. And I'll get into the nuances of this in a second. But I have to admit, fine, you guys were right. I was in denial for a while that narcissists were more likely to stalk because in my mind, and this just shows how different presentations can really occur. Because in my mind, I'm like, I would never stalk somebody that make me look pathetic, that make me look creepy. I don't want anybody to think of me like that, right? But they are overrepresented in some of the, because then I started looking up studies because I'm like, I need to disprove this. My disorder's awesome. Anyways, regardless though, despite that, people who ask me how to get their narcissist to stop stalking them, I don't have an answer for you still. I still cannot give any advice on this because one, I am not, I have not stalked anybody. And on top of that, there's nothing you can do to make a stalker stop stalking you. I'm going to get on why it's important for you to make a paper trail, start reporting it to the police, try your restraining order, so when it eventually escalates and it goes to court, you will have evidence of what's going on. And to show you some stats that I'll link these studies if somebody reminds me, the stats in the violence, and keep in mind, all these studies are very limited, especially the ones on psychopathology. Like some of these only had like 20 or so people in them. But this is why you need to get law enforcement involved. 43% of the people who were being stalked were eventually sexually attacked. 25% were physically assaulted. People who left their stalker were 2 to 4 times more likely to be murdered by their partner. This isn't about stopping getting stalked. It's about keeping yourself safe and getting law enforcement involved and on that shit. And I get it. The law enforcement doesn't do shit half the time. But at least if you have a paper trail, there's a better chance that if it does get to a violent point that you will be able to convict them and stuff like that. Anyway, so again, the research here is very limited. But from what it looks like, there was 2 big groups of stalkers. It was about 50-50 in the ones that basically had schizophrenia or some schizophrenic type disorder and would basically have delusions, being like, oh, I have to be with these people. And the other half were predominantly personality disorder based. But an important thing to point out, and one of them found that 50%, give or take, it was almost completely cluster B. There was a couple people with passive aggressive, schizoid, OCPD, and paranoid. One of the studies showed that 50% of them or so had paranoid personality disorder. But that being said, I want to point out again, this is a rare behavior, and some of these will even show that your partner is kind of unlikely to stalk you in general. It showed that 29% of the people who had a personality disorder were ASPD, around 50% were NPD, and then borderline and histrionic making up the rest. The research basically suggests that NPD, BPD, and HPD are basically the most likely. Predominantly BPD and NPD, but But an interesting thing you have to keep in mind is that basically none of the people who were stalking had just a personality disorder. They had multiple, and okay, that's the ones that are personality disorders. The ones that only had axis 1 disorders. The most likely one actually was because it was 63% that were mentally ill. The most common, I think 36% of those or something like that, had a substance use disorder, and that was the most likely one, which is interesting. And kind of makes sense, right? You're going to be losing your mind when you're on drugs. And some of these studies are contradictory because I read a couple meta studies and there's so little research on this, it's hard to get definitive data. So a lot of what I'm saying just might not be true. But ultimately, it shows that these people are almost untreatable. And although it would be helpful for people to be treated, for these people to get treated for the victims, right? that it would make stalking stop, right? But none of these people were basically able to be treated. And that's another reason why it's like, you can't just get them to stop. They're so fucked up in the head that nothing's going to stop them. But yeah, all these people that had an access to disorder had some other, probably another personality disorder, and also had another type of mood disorder or substance use disorder, like a bunch of crap. These people had a wide range of diagnosable like traits and just weird behaviors. A lot of these things, you have to keep in mind that although it can be just normal personality traits affecting the pathological ones, the vast majority of people who are pathological don't stalk. And I think it is dangerous for us to always tie abusive behaviors to pathology, because there could be a lot of other situations that affect it. I also want to point out that, funnily enough, it's very interesting because only 13% of the people who were stalking former lovers. It was 58% were just acquaintances, 21% or 1/3 was just strangers, which 8% of those people were seen in the media, which is kind of funny to me. I don't know why that's funny. It shouldn't be. It was, and like these people don't fit archetypal like personality disorder profiles. These people are going to be the most mentally ill of the most mentally ill, the worst people of the worst. It's, again, I don't think it's helpful to tie this stuff to pathology all the time, especially if it's not treatable, right? Why are we even tying pathology to it if there's no stopping it to begin with? I guess you could make the argument for early intervention, right? But at the point that it becomes stalking, there's nothing to do. The only thing to do is get mental health people involved, not mental health, fucking law enforcement. Which raises the question, how do we prevent things like this, right? What do we do from this point forward? I mean, personally, I think stalkers are so disgusting that maybe I shouldn't finish that sentence. And I get it, right? I'm sure a lot of people who are being stalked, if it was the people who come here, it was probably their intimate partners, I imagine. And a lot of them probably were like, I want this person to get help because they're losing their goddamn mind. But I mean, what else can you do other than lock them up, basically? Again, fucking 46% were sexually assaulted at some point. That is insane. That is crazy. I am a pathological narcissist and I'm fucking shocked. Again, which goes to show the variations in presentation of this disorder. I am really all over the place in this video. Sorry, I'm hyped up on coffee, and that happens sometimes. I'm still so embarrassed that I was wrong about that. I mean, I would say that I'm partially right, because you can't just chalk it up to pathological narcissism. If you were being stalked and these people do have pathological narcissism, there's going to be a whole cocktail of other shit going on that is going to cause that behavior. Again, I would never stalk because to me, that seems pathetic, which is probably not why I should be so opposed to it, but still, it makes me look creepy. It makes me look like I am desperate for this person that didn't want me, which is the stupidest fucking thing ever. If somebody doesn't want me, they're just stupid, right? They're just stupid. Why would I pin after somebody who doesn't want me? It makes me feel pathetic. I can't imagine I'll social media stalk a little bit, but I'm sure everybody does that to some degree. Just kind of get curious. It's like, how are they doing? Are they like, not like I care about them, but it's like, I need to make sure I'm doing better than them. Let's see if their life is a mess yet, and let's see if I'm doing better. It better be. That's the only circumstance I can see me engaging in any form of stalking even, is me needing to make sure that I'm doing better than them. And weirdly enough, me driving to their house in the middle of the night probably isn't going to be very convincing that I'm doing better than them. These were really disturbing facts, though. I do again, so much of it was contradictory, just because there was very limited research, and the little research that was there was had such small sample sizes. But the stats were fucking disturbing. I mean, not for me. It was just kind of like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't really get disturbed by stuff, but I was surprised. And I'm sure for other people, it's going to be disturbing. Again, so anybody who asks me, how do I deal with my stalker, my narcissistic stalker, how do I get him to stop? I'm not going to answer you. I'm going to say, get the police involved. That's the only advice I can give you. These people can't be fixed. They can't, they're going to keep stalking because they literally can't be treated. So get the police involved. Move if you have to, I guess. Skip town. I don't know what you want me to say, right? You can look at these studies. There's been no actual like treatment that's been effective, or getting them into treatment is even fucking harder, obviously, because if you're willing to stalk, I doubt you're willing to admit literally that you have anything wrong with you because you're that fucking messed up. Maybe antipsychotics could work for the psychotic group, but who knows? But yeah, that's basically it. I was all over the place. I'm so sorry. Y'all have a good day. Take your fucking meds.